game number 3, and there's a Rengar ban, so we can all be a little bit happier. Now while we're waiting for everybody to get back and ready to go, the Rengar ban comes at the expense of allowing a Maokai through. One of the kings of the top lane has emerged incredibly strong, and Sky showed us exactly how strong he could be in game number 1. His Aurelia is still banned away, but his Maokai is back and here to stay, and he'll be going over what could be a... Oh my goodness, is Koro gonna lock that? Okay, so Koro gets a top lane Alistar, and that could be still a support Alistar for FCCF, so keep that in mind. But in our first series, it was actually Tristana that swayed the games back and forth, and so could look for a lock-in on that champion, but without it being very heavily contested with Lucian locked in for EDG, should see Tristana saved for their last couple picks, locking in a Yasuo for the mid.
Well, I hoped for this Alistar to go for King too, so it would be a Maokai and an Alistar, a completely OP comp, and now that they will also have a Tristana, that would be even better. But as you said, this Rengar ban is definitely a good one, as Klilov played it in the first game, didn't do too well, then Lonely played this Rengar in the second game, once again didn't do too well, so they just decide to ban it away and go for different junglers this time around.
All right, now just making sure that I have everything where it needs to be. A quick refresh on, and then grabbing the right link. So let me go ahead and we'll sync things up here in just a second. Make sure we're both on the same page. And it looks like we're good. All right, so the last couple picks coming in here for King. It does look like will be Nami Tristana. I think they wanted the Tristana, but realized that they didn't have to pick it right away. They could give up Lucian. Now they just go for the Trist. So this time around, it's Edward Gaming that get the early game AD carry versus King's late game comp. So I'm actually really excited for this. King have a devastating team composition. They get Elise, who, and I believe this is still the 3.12 patch, or the 4.12 patch. I'm still not sure if it's on 1.3 yet. I don't think it is. So that does mean that Lucian is still very strong, but it also means that Elise is unnerfed. So she still has her cocoon, still has her repel range, and everything's still good to go. And just really strong team composition from both sides. When you look at the Jarvan jungle, which did very well for Lonely in game number 1, and possibly a Lulu mid lock in for you.
Well, there's no knockup from the jungler though, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer for JS to actually start being effective with the last breaths. But still, it definitely looks quite strong for King, especially with a Tristana, Maokai, Yasuo on the same team. But on the other hand, we also have an Alistar in the top lane that is definitely a strong champion right there.
And man, Alistar versus Maokai. Probably one of the most boring fights you'll ever see, but it should be one that once they get to team fights, up a lot. Whether it's Maokai just blocking 20% of everything coming at your face, and even more of that if he gets something like, what is that? Locket of the Iron Solari, a big item on Maokai's because it gives you area of effect magic damage, area of effect percentage base damage reduction, and then you've also got the shield that is also in an area of effect. So if you, I don't know what that guy's counting on his hands. We'll have to see how that stacks up. But like I said, Maokai's big, Alistar, unkillable, does a ton of damage. At rank 3, 90 extra attack damage on his ultimate. So I don't know who thought up that number. It's just like, let's give this guy 100 AD. That's over 2 BF swords that you get for pressing R. Like, I don't understand how that works, but it's fair and balanced, and Alistar in the top lane for Koro 1. Really excited to see how this stacks up.
Yeah, but we just have to wait for the game to actually load in and start, and then is where the magic is going to happen, because this game is most probably going to be the closest of them all, with such strong team comps for both of the teams.
Exactly, and keep in mind, we've seen stomps both ways. Like, game number 1, King crushed EDG in the lane phase. They kind of shook things up around the dragon when EDG managed to come back, or around the Baron when EDG managed to come back and take that Baron. But here in game number 2, it was the exact opposite situation. EDG didn't necessarily win the lane phase super hard, but they hung on and crushed it late. And now Edward Gaming come out with a very, very strong team comp. But I'm interested to see this Lulu on you. It's like Yulu. There in the mid lane versus a Yasuo, who should take heavy harass, but has the Way of the Wanderer's shield to block out a little bit of that, and the wind wall, which makes Lulu pretty useless, unless you can get through the wind wall by using help picks into Glitterlands.
Alright, but I hope that from Lulu onto Yulu it stays at that and not go to YOLO, because then it would be a little bit bad for EDG. Well, we'll get to see. Once again, the invades are coming, so pretty much every single game that we have seen the invades.
So same strategies that we saw from both teams last game, just ward up the enemy side of the jungle and then go for a later invade. But look at EDG, or rather King's got the presence of mind to put this ward down so early on. And so King's like, oh man, we're going to catch them out in their jungle. We're going to stomp them, and they're just right on top of a ward. So a little bit of an interesting start. And off of this information, you know, King doesn't want to move around too much because they don't want to risk standing on top of a ward. But EDG are not as sneaky as they think they're being.
Oh yeah, definitely they're not. And well, King might be rotating there, but just look at the bottom lane of King right now. They're just standing there on top of the tier 3 turret, and they're not making the move.
EDG, they're waiting, they're gonna... Oh, just kidding, they're not gonna do anything. So they walk back to lane over a ward, and keep in mind, that was a regular ward. Like, that was a you know, 2.5 minute ward, or I guess that's 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds. There you go. And it definitely paid off. So it'll be a red buff steal start for both sides, but 0 information for EDG off of that start, and a ton for King, so they'll know exactly what's going on.
Yes, definitely, and that gives them a little bit of an advantage early on, but still, we'll have to wait a little bit more for something to start happening, actually. But there is the Tristana for No Heart, so that's the thing that I'm mostly looking at right now. If this Tristana once again gets some early advantage, then once again it's gonna be the Tristana winning the game single-handedly.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see No Heart on Trist. Already you can see the early trades in the mid lane. I think Yu's winning these out, but you can never underestimate the power of those crits. But what on earth happened down there? No Heart goes down for first blood, and Name gets away with just a sliver of HP. Well, we're gonna have to get a replay of that one. Just barely missed it. Keep in mind, I did switch over from the DoYu stream to the TGA stream, so hopefully we'll be able to get everything back up in here and running as far as the observer mode or the replay is concerned. Because man, I want to watch that. Like, Name gets or it's actually FCZF that got first blood, but he gets the first kill of the game, and it's on to the opposing AD carry in a 2v2. Like, that's not something you see all the time.
Yeah, and that was really weird because we switched over to the middle lane when pretty much nothing happened. It was just a knock-up from JS, and then the first blood goes down. Wow. And we missed that, unfortunately. But Name didn't get the kill.
Yeah, and now it's actually No Heart that it's down double CS versus Name is... he's going to be able to get some of it back because, of course, Name and FCZF went back to base. But even still, like, this is a big power spike. Double longsword is the build for Name. He could still be going for this sort of blue shin build with a brutalizer start. Or it might just be going for something like Blade of the Ruined King, maybe.
Maybe we'll see. But he gets this assist, and he comes out on top quite massively in the CS. However, just look at No Heart. He's easily coming back into this one.
Top lane fight is so dumb. It's like 2 super tanks with very low scaling ability power ratios, just desperately trying to get as much CS as they can while somewhat harassing them, but they just heal so much that it's not even a big deal. Ugh. Anyway, we probably won't be going heading up the top lane anytime soon, but mid lane could heat up at any moment. You can see King still having a little bit of a struggle there. JS still putting it back onto you. And of course, you uses mana, and that's the big advantage that Yasuo has, is that he can out-sustain you because he doesn't have any resources, just cooldowns.
Yep, and well, still not much happening in the game. However, the first blood did go over to EDG, so they might be looking for a little bit of bottom lane pressure. Then,
Oh,
trans
nice dodge there by Yasuo. He does take the exhaust, but he flashes away. And that's like an exhaust summoner down, so big cooldown for you to use, but he does get the flash out from JS.
But still, this should have really been a kill. But a perfect dodge coming out from JS, as you said. And yeah, actually coming back to what I was talking about, EDG should be looking for the pressure in the bottom lane and then for an early dragon. That would really give them a lot.
Early Dragon, not quite in the menu just yet. And actually, Koro losing out on these trades. He just can't deal any damage. And let's keep an eye. This is going to be an AP Alistar, I believe, if I can sound things out. Yeah, he's got 25 ability power just off of runes, so kind of strange. Earlier on today, we saw an attack damage-based Alistar, went Trinity Force first. This will probably be a Rod of Ages Alistar, who will go for more of a classic Gragas build instead.
Oh, well, that is definitely going to be interesting because usually you're looking for a little bit more damage in this one because you also are immortal from your ultimate alone. So you want to give your team a little bit more than just the tankiness.
So yeah, now we get to watch Sky and Koro in action again. Yeah. And while like this is such an opposite situation from the first game of the night because like Sky like they were on Irelia and Jax, they were just like trading aggressively, getting solo kills. That is not going to happen up here.
But hey, Sky was like level 6 against level 5 for quite some time, so he could have gone for some aggression, yeah.
Yeah, the big OP Maokai aggression, not a sentence you say all that often.
Well, he's a tree. What do you expect?
I don't know. Tree things? Lots of Groot?
Tree powers.
By our tree powers combined, we're Maokai. We kind of own the top lane because we're a very well-defined and designed champion. Fishing for the fish. Not going to work out there for FCZF. But a nice steal there on Clear Love on the Wraith camp, and he'll also be able to clear out this pink ward. Showing it a little bit of love.
Okay, so EDG actually, they're in the jungle of King quite often. Clear Love already ventured in there like 2 times. Or even 3, counting the early invade.
Man, so to start things off, I'm really not liking the AP Alistar. He's going to hit Sky back into the turret. He'll just twisted advance his way back out. Koro gets the health lead, but he's going to be down on mana. And now EDG will start up this dragon. Will they get smite? They do. And so all Clear Love has to do is get out of here alive. He will take that lantern out. The flash away by Name gets away from that, well, any potential twisted advance coming in from Sky, but still very close. King will get the blue buff, but not the dragon.
Yeah, not the dragon, and that is the big issue. And they didn't even get any kills on top of that, so they lost a lot. However, they do get the blue buff steal, so they deny it from you. However, as you said, Yu is not really going to be doing pretty much in this middle lane anyway, since he's facing a Yasuo with a wind wall.
And man, this is a little bit of a rough spot to be in if you're King, because you've just lost your big objective. You took a blue buff off of it, but I mean, who really cares about that? Like, it's all about stacking up this early gold, and it's actually a pretty early dragon too. So getting it a little bit earlier than you'd expect. EDG come back from base, and exactly like we expected, it's gonna be this weird sort of armor pen Blution kind of build with a brutalizer start for Name.
Yeah, so he's aiming at the Yomu's cosplay, most probably. Like,
but then why does he have a pickaxe? Like, is he going Last Whisper? Is he hit an Infinity Edge after this? Like, where's the
Black Cleaver?
Black Cleaver doesn't have a pickaxe in it, so...
Yeah, but still, like, it's a weird build, so he could go for anything right now.
I'm not a big fan. I guess Last Whisper if he just wants to go for nothing but armor penetration. But that's a weird build to go for as an AD carry. I mean, sure, he's like 20 CS ahead, so maybe he has the flexibility to do that. But I'd expect the Yomu's rush. It's a pretty good steroid.
Okay, so the goal lead is, of course, on the side of Edward Gaming at the moment, but it's not the stomp kind of thing that we experienced in the previous games. And actually, a Nami support, that's first time we have seen a Nami support for quite a long time right now.
It is, and all trading intensifies, but it's not kind of trades that King are really looking for down there. They will be able to get most of the CS, which is, something to say for Tristana, because she is not too good at CSing under turrets, so good job there for No Heart.
At the same time, there was a headbutt from Koro1 in the top lane, so trading intensifies indeed.
Yeah, and Sky's actually just leaving his ult on because he has a blue buff, so he's just using that to one-shot the wave, and now just going to shove it in onto Koro1, who should have a difficult time taking out that CS because he has very low attack damage because he's going AP or Alistar, and his skills cause him to trample, which does damage to minions all around him.
Alright, so 20 CS advantage for Nami right there in the bottom lane at the moment, which gives them a little bit of an advantage, but I want to see some big fights happen finally, because it's 11th minute and we haven't seen any kind of dragon focus attempt or whatever. There's no wards around the dragon pit either. And by now, it usually does happen.
Sky and Koro still going at it. I'm not sure why that's the most exciting thing to show out on the map, but actually a lot of pressure off of the map for King. They'll send every lane back to base, and now maybe looking to do a big play down bottom. They do have Lonely down there, but is he going to go in? We need to kind of check out that bottom lane. There's a gank happening right now, and hopefully we'll head down there in just a second. Maybe they're just posturing back and forth. But yeah, the casters are kind of laughing at how hilarious this top lane fight is, just because of, like, absolutely nothing is happening. This is back, I don't know if you remember, Nero, back in, like, Season 2, when it used to be Lee Sin and Udyr top lane, and they just both put on their shields, and they'd only be able to kill the other's shield, and it was just like shield fights, super exciting. But now we head back down to the bottom lane where the box is out, and so is the health bar of Elise. Very, very low flash forced out of FCZF, looking to turn it back around, but the teleport is canceled, and now it's just Clear Love who overextends. CL's dead, and so is the opposing jungler, so Lonely's gonna be a little bit lonelier there, but oh, it's he has coming in from the side, the piercing lie down on to Adanami. Fries the fish and takes her out. So overall, a 3-4-2 exchange. Lei did not get the better end of that trade. Now JS is in a little bit of a rough spot. He could go in here and try to defend, or just give Name the turret.
Where did you even get that 3-4-2 from? It was a 2-for-1, but
2-for-1. I was one kill high on both sides. Yeah.
Sky, to interrupt the teleport from Koro1, had to go in between two of the turrets right there. He went like full ham to just use the twisted advance to stop the teleport. That was a really big move. He had to.
Oh, the wind wall stops the second piercing, or the second light slinger proc from killing No Heart. Holy cow! Nice support Yasuo play down there, keeping No Heart alive. That was pretty rough, but you can see not a lot of presence down there, and No Heart's actually going to stay bottom. Name is out of mana, and so he won't be able to dash. Okay, well, his dash doesn't take any mana, so he can still dash over the wall. He's running for his life, trying to find anything. Sky TP's bottom. Can't find anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, the bubble misses, and Nami will stay alive with this red buff too, so that would have been a tasty kill for King. However, they do not really find it.
Yeah, no kill to find, but it does take the pressure off No Hearts, but at least try to get him closer to being back in that lane. And now it's actually King who are going for this dragon. They will have to get a little bit better positioning on Tristana. She micros back to the bag. We'll see if King can get that. They get the twisted advance, and they blow Clear Love apart. He was way too far up there. He's looking to get in there for the steal, but he got stolen instead.
Oh, wow. That was an incredible combo right there. And in the end, at least with a little bit of a last attack steal right there, because in the end, Yasuo used up the ultimate. There was the ultimate from Maokai and everyone, and Elise got the kill. A little bit unfortunate, I think, because King, 2 kills that they have are sitting on Lonely at the moment.
So in the end, it actually wasn't that bad for Sky to TP bot. He was still there for the dragon, and that is going to be a nice bit of gold coming back to King after they lost the first dragon to EDG. They will lose the tower in exchange, so it's pretty even trade as Edward's still hanging in there. But the gold count is identical, and when you look across the map, you can see actually Lonely in the jungle is way far ahead in CS and in kills, 2 and 1, going for the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith for a hardcore AP at least. Whereas top lane, you can see, wait a second. I thought this was going to be an ability power Alistar because he started out with 25 ability power, but now he's all the way up to 50 and he's going for Trinity Force. So maybe that was just, you know, some early starting AP for his heals and damage. Either way, going
Because
Trinity
the
Force.
lane versus Maokai would be hard.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not sure why you pick the AP runes even still into Maokai. Like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but he's going Trinity.
A little bit weird, but yeah, talking about this Maokai in the top lane, actually Sky roamed down to the bottom lane and then went for the dragon, and they then took a long time coming back to this top, and during his absence, Koro still didn't manage to come out on top in CS, so that is really weird.
Now King, they're starting to come back just a little bit. They've evened things up, and now they're actually a couple hundred gold ahead, so they'll have to cultivate that, you know, grow it, nourish it, break out the Demacia Cup watering can and hope that they can grow this into a lead. For EDG, I don't really think they have a whole lot of potential. Oh, look at Skies going in onto Koro. Does have the mana and damage advantage. That almost rhymes. Now, the rest of the team sieging mid, but still has to watch out for FCZF.
Yep. However, King are definitely looking for a turret for themselves. They want to get up in turrets. Because EDG, they got 1-1. They equalized the fight earlier on. So, as you said, the gold count was identical. And King definitely want to come out on top. And on this Tristana, sitting on 0-1-1, is not the best record. Right now, they want to have this Tristana a lot stronger than the Lucian for Name.
Okay, well, both teams trade pink wards in the Pixel Brush by Baron, and now it's actually Name splitting top lane. Sky is spec'd into a lot of magic resistance. He's forced to turn on his ultimate, and the Cocoon will be enough just barely to save his life on top of that. But the Ignite, you can't block that damage, and Sky will go down. Flash over the wall there from Lonely. He'll escape, but that is a summoner forced away, and a great rotation by Name, knowing exactly where he needed to be. A little bit of questionable item build there by Sky. Might be good versus Alistar, but it's not going to cut it versus all that armor pen on an Infinity Edge Brutalizer Name Lucian.
Yeah, just the two auto attacks from the Lightslinger completely destroyed Sky right there in that fight. And if he had the flash, he would just escape the Ignite, but unfortunately he didn't have it. And in the end, FCZF gets the kill, but actually they had to sacrifice a lot to get it. FCZF used up the box, Ignite, Flash, everything.
2-0 for both duo laners down in EDG's bottom lane. Like, that's pretty impressive to see that one lane win that hard. But keep in mind, that's the only lane that's winning, and especially the jungle discrepancy it's pretty drastic. The big difference, though, is that maybe I guess both junglers building damage and then into tankiness, but Jarvan is just a little bit too far behind to have any of those big tank items just yet.
Wow, Koro. He's dealing quite a bit of damage right now. So finally hitting that Trinity Force, finally hitting a little bit of damage. Now he looks quite good.
That's actually going to be kind of interesting. This is a very balanced team comp from King because they have a big super tank, they have an ability power based jungle, and then AD carries. And even Maokai does a lot of AP damage too. Maybe not a lot of AP damage, but it's still there. And so that means that you're going to be taking 3 sources of ability power damage that are relatively weak, whereas you're going to be taking 2 sources of very high attack damage. So this is actually really tough to itemize against, and you'll see that EDG haven't really spec'd into any defensive stats other than maybe just those Ninja Tabby coming out. But now with King starting the siege up around the mid lane, no contesting. That is the second turret, and King tie up the turret lead. And now they'll rotate towards Dragon. And with Koro all the way down there, he'll be in a decent position to come try to deal with that, but 30 seconds is not a lot of time, and FCZF's headed back to base.
Yeah, and King, if they get this dragon right now, they will come out on top in gold. However, EDG, well, they're looking a little bit better in the fights, as they have proven already. But, as you said, not many of the defensive stats are getting built right there. So, just a little bit of health on everyone.
Yeah, and even Koro goes for Ionian Boots of Lucidity, same boots that Lonely has, but and engage over the wall, repel. Will this be enough in time? Answer is, of course, no. Gets cataclysmed and taken down. Big, nice tidal wave, and there's the TP in. Sky is right in the thick of things, and he is blocking so much damage, but just look at Tristana. Nobody's touching her. She's still got the damage in the back. Koro 1's gonna go down, and look at how much damage Sky just blocked there, setting the rest of his team up for success. They find a 1-for-1. And now maybe looking for a little bit more, but at least it's a dragon for King.
The Sky didn't pop his ultimate, so he could have dealt a little bit of damage right there. And actually, Name, he tried to run away over the wall to dodge the fight, to not get killed.
Death Sentence perfectly sniping out JS. He is going down in a hurry. Now Sky, well, he's probably dead as well, although a nice Buster Shot bubble combo could get Sky out of here alive. We still got you going on the chase. Looking for that glitter lance. He's gonna hit it. Summoner heal. The flash in, and now Sky is a dead man. He's gonna twist it advance, and then turn and fight. Back around. Sky is still alive. Can Tristana turn this one back? You is starting to get crit down. The blue buff's there. Tristana wants it. Is it enough? The glitter lance is down. Can you escape this? The flash. The bubble lands. The giant growth's just not giant enough. King turned the fight around. 2-for-1.
Well, FCCF was even close to going down right there because he found himself in a really bad spot. However, what I wanted to say back then, Name got focused down by the dragon when he flashed over the wall to try and run away from the fight. So he lost a little bit from there, which might have led into his death right here, actually. Well, yeah, 22nd minute on the clock. King come out on top in the turrets, but the dragon was there.
Yeah, so the dragon did go to EDG, I believe, if I'm correct. So King did.
I didn't really actually notice because like the fight happened and then they all ran away. Okay, it was the King's dragon because then Yasuo died.
Good call. Yeah, it's 5-7 in kills, but that really doesn't tell the story of the dragons. First one went to EDG, and then King's taken all the others. Now the big thing for me this fight has been. I guess kind of Name. His positioning that last fight, going for that aggressive chase, just didn't pay off. Same thing for you. But at least we're seeing you start to play more aggressively. He's going for these big plays, trying to make them work. And that's something that he just did not do in EDG's loss in Game 1. And that's been a big source of strength for Edward Gaming, because oftentimes they will fall down to a disadvantage in the early game, but they are so good at coming back from that, just playing passive and forcing the other team to make a mistake. And playing aggressive for you is one style that really helps him capitalize on a lot of those mistakes.
Okay, so actually, even though King are behind in kills, they are slightly ahead in gold, which is quite good for them. But still, Name, he's sitting on a Lucian. And it's not really about the champion, but it's about Name. And he is sitting at 3-1-4 right now. So he's going to be doing well. And King have to be really careful to not let loose. Oh, this Name. And Name's devil that he has inside. That he was before.
Well played. Yeah, Sky, though, has just completed a Frozen Heart. So that is going to be a big detriment to Name. It's going to reduce the number of shots on the culling if he's on top of him. And more importantly, it's just going to block a lot of that damage. So even with the armor penetration that Name's got from the Yomu's Ghost Blade, Sky is pretty invincible right now. And it's a completely different style of play for Koro's Alistar. His invincibility comes from a move, not just his characteristic. And it's on a relatively decent cooldown, not like, you know, Maokai can just turn his ult on and off relatively quickly. But now Sky almost gets caught there, but we'll find a pink ward on his retreat. 2 pink wards, in fact. Wow, that's some big ward coverage clear for King. And now they're going to try for a blue buff of their own, but what does King do to punish them for this? All right, well, Koro wants one option. They force his ultimate out. He does get a nice pulverize. They'll force Elise back into the box. Bubble misses, but look at the leap in. Holy cow, the Tristana going all the way. Taking out FZZF, and now King just crushing through the turret. Nobody there to fight them. Classic LPL AD carries, sending him to jump into the middle of the fight, but that time it works out for a kill. FZZF going down and possibly even an inhibitor. I don't know if this is the best turret to fight ever. No, King, don't do it! They're fighting under the base turret, and now it's gonna be Tristana barely lifestealing up from the end. Is this a horrible fight for King? Answer is yes. 1 dies, 2 dies, Sky's gonna die as well, and now Name is looking to jump towards Tristana. It's the Ardent Blaze to take him down. Bubble will hit you in the back, so at least, oh my gosh, at least Lei gets out alive. I'm just exhausted at this point. That was the most horrible turret dive you could ever have gone for. The turret was not dropping quickly enough, and Edward Gaming just pounced on it, quite literally, with Clear Love's ultimate. Although he will look, he'll try not to die to this Baron. And it will be Baron Nashor at 26 minutes, going to Edward Gaming.
And King, as soon as they turned the game into their favor, they threw it on a dive. Why would they even go for that? Even if they could bring the turret down, they would still not get the inhibitor. So they didn't really need that so desperately. And that was way too much. Perfect play from No Heart at the very beginning, jumping in as there's Tristana, getting a kill onto a FZZF. And that was good, but then not too good.
Wow. This is pretty ridiculous here. EDG have come back. This is the second time they've done this. Game 1, they had the same exact timing on their power spike, but I don't know. They wound up throwing that one away. So this time they have a much better position, but it's all about what you do with that, and we'll see what they opt for. I still feel like the team comp, the itemization, is better for King, but oh my gosh, look at that Cataclysm! The jump already used, but a big knockup sets up for a huge engage for JS. He's still got the damage. Look at Sky blocking out a lot of that damage. Tristana still DPSing from the back, but she's beset by FCZF and Koro, and with Tristana going down, King is in a rout. They're trying to kill off the tank line, and they will do so. It's 4 down. A perfect team fight for Edward Gaming.
Yeah, and again, King lose 4 of their members, and it's just going down right now for them. And EDG, even though they didn't have too many turrets, now is the time to bring it back with a very easy push in the middle lane, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, that Cataclysm from Clear Love was just beautiful. He caught 4 people, forced Tristana to use Rocket Jump early, and then she couldn't kite away from the follow-up damage as Koro and FZZF chased her down afterwards. Death Sentence lands on to Elise. He's gonna come down. Can he make it out alive? Answer is yes. Nice wind wall coming out from JS.
Yeah, but Lonely still close to the lane, and that also gave EDG a little bit more time to run away from there, and the inhibitor is down. They got the Baron. They got pretty much everything that they wanted to, and actually, after the fight in the base of EDG, the gold lead was dead even. 41k to 41k on both sides, but now EDG are definitely ahead.
Yeah, 5,000 gold lead opening up here. Almost 6, as Edward Gaming will head back to base, and this is horrible because now there's a free trip back to base, the inhibitor is dead, and big item buy is starting to come out for Edward Gaming. They grab a Frozen Heart of their own, a giant spell coming out from Clear Love in the jungle, and with a Void Staff now completed for you, nothing's gonna stop his damage short of, well, pretty much just Maokai ults, the only thing standing in his way. There's no Locket of the Iron Solari like there is coming out from Clear Love, so yeah, this is starting to get a little bit ridiculous. Both teams with big power spikes, but I feel like EDG's is just bigger. At this point in time, it's that size that matters.
Yep, and well, I actually said they cannot let Name get too fed, get too good, and
Oops.
Now, yep.
8-1 and 6. He is. I kind of doubted his build. He was going for the Infinity Edge, or the Yomu's Infinity Edge build. It's a little bit weird, but the crit's what counts, and he actually used the Yomu's Ghost Blade as kind of a substitute Zeal, or Phantom Dancer or Static Shiv, something like that. And then built it into an Infinity Edge. That's pretty cool. And 8-1 and 6, you can't really argue.
Yeah, definitely. And on the other hand, you do have a 3-3-2 Tristana that is still quite okay. But Infinity Edge and a static ship. On the other hand, we have a little bit more for Name, and then he's even building a defensive item right now. So even if Tristana remains untouched in a fight, she will still not really be able to kill everyone.
Sky still incredibly tanky, and to his credit, he is what's keeping his team alive right now. If they didn't have a Maokai, this would be absolutely horrible, because you don't just need a tank in the front line, you need somebody that can tank for the rest of the team. So Sky does that very, very well. Still think he could use a Locket of the Iron Solari, just to stop the magic damage from you coming in. Like, that's what's really gonna get back in the back line and like really slow somebody out, and so you need to block some of that. But honestly, like, it's Clear Love's engages that are just picture perfect. But Death Sentence lands onto the spider. Wind Wall will block most of that out. Name's just face tanking this turret, and he dashes backwards and gets a huge shield. So really aggressive. Name is playing so far up.
However, the Baron will be coming in a couple of minutes, so there still is a possibility of a turnaround right here.
Oh, and EDG just gonna monster up. Koro 1 just taking charge of that fight, and they can actually make it a speed cow. Send him in with Whimsy on, so we'll have to see. We need the attempt to come back for base. Keep in mind, super minions are on the Nexus turrets right now, so you kind of have to keep your base alive at some point, and King will back on off, clear that out, and for EDG, they're just going to take this opportunity, probably to head back to base, Baron, and then come back for the win. But is this lack of pressure on King going to give them some breathing room to come back?
Yeah, but still, if they are going to go for the Baron, they're in the Baron pit. And up against the Maokai, he's going to have everyone in his ultimate. Then you have Yasuo right there too, so that might actually be a good thing. And with Tristana jumping all around, they might come back into this one, but that would require a lot from them. And maybe even a steal from Lonely onto this Baron.
Man, Yu is incredibly farmed right now. Yu and Name, these guys are, like, you have to deal with them. Maokai is great at tanking for the rest of his team, but you have to have some response to Yu and Name. They're both super mobile, and now, King are in a horrible spot. Their middle inhibitors respawn, and EDG are just going to power down. Like, King got caught with their pants down, and now they have to walk all the way back through their own base, and this is a fight that they have to force, because if they lose this inhibitor, it's just going to make it too difficult to defend against EDG's big power spike.
All right, and well, they will not take the inhibitor as of yet, but EDG are definitely looking for a fight right now. Even if they don't have the Baron, they still do have a huge advantage at the moment. So one Death Sentence or any kind of CC, WQ combo from Koro 1 will get a nice fight for EDG and win them the game.
Man, this is starting to heat up. King have come back. They've kept their inhibitor alive. So now all they have to do... Keep in mind, Koro 1 at any time could just TP right to that inhibitor and take it out. Alistar Trinity Force in his ultimate kills that inhibitor ridiculously quickly. And that could be what catch King on tilt. Maybe like send them in a weird decision-making pattern. Could also give EDG the Baron if they send too many people back to deal with the cow. So just an idea. But now King are going to get positioning here on Baron, and that could be something they don't wind up giving up. They'll clear out all the pink wards, and that's going to be hard to put back in. Oh, Death Sentence will land onto Elise. No repel! She gets deaded before anything can happen. Sky's got his ultimate on, trying to take up for everything. There's a big amount of protection in the back line, but it's going to be PYL is going down. Oh, no, I actually meant Nami there. Tristana narrowly staying alive. EDG crushing it down. FZZF solos out the AD carry at the back line, and those Sky may be invincible. 1v4 is not a fight he wants to take. He's going to go down. Edward Gaming should be able to just push in on for the win. A little bit of waffling. They want the Baron. They want the win. They want both of them, but they'll take the Baron instead.
Yeah, and actually...
That's pretty bad. Like, they can win the game. Okay, well, maybe not win the game. They're going to have Elise up, so maybe that was the right call.
Wow, that is just incredible. Sky, every single time he stays alive at the end of the fight, he's 1v4, 1v5. He cannot do anything right there. That must be a horrible feeling when you're so helpless.
I feel like Lonely, not only because of his name, needs to pick a Mumu, because every single fight he's just making so many friends. He's gotten caught out in the last 3 or 4 fights. He's always the one that gets hooked, so I don't know if that kid needs, like, a Banshee's Veil. And actually, that's really confusing. He built a Spirit Visage instead of a Banshee's Veil. That is baffling to me, because as a jungler, like, you need that Banshee's Veil. Spirit Visage is a garbage item when, like, he's not going to be healing up. Spirit of the Spectral Wraith only gives you health back when you're hitting monsters, and even the Skittering Frenzy doesn't really give you that much health back, and it's certainly not what you want to build your build around. That Spectral Cowl is, or the Spirit Visage is pretty questionable.
And especially if you can't even use the Skittering Frenzy because you get annihilated in a fight.
Exactly, he got blown up before he could repel. Like, this Elise is not, I'm not digging it. Getting caught out that much is really costing King this game.
Yep, and well, JS sitting on Yasuo, he had a little bit of a CS lead, but now finishes at 0-4. So still not really doing too much on this Yasuo, even though they had such a nice comp with the Nami's tidal waves and with Maokai also having a knock-up in his kit.
Keep in mind another big counter is that as soon as JS's Yasuo ults in, and he's like swishing around, he's being all cool and Yasuo-y, all Alistar has to do is just pulverize. And he's just like, oh, you're in the middle of our enemy team and you're dead. So, Alistar is a big counter-engaged tool. And that just means EDG can slow roll their way up through the base. Bubble is used, so it's not going to hit anything. And there's the flash in from Koro. He's going to catch out at least again. This time there's time for a repel. But Koro's just body blocking for the inhibitor. And now Sky is incredibly tanky. Koro might actually die here because once this ult runs out, he doesn't really have all that many defensive stats. But, oh, King cannot overextend into that. They really can't chase into you either. Sky's going to have to turn his ult off sooner or later. Koro does manage to get unscathed, but they get the knockup. Yu's gonna get exploded here. King might be able to find some damage here from behind. Sky is still tanking off to the side, and Yasuo actually stays alive. A nice twisted advance in there, and now it's Koro dead. Clear Love's dead, and EDG might go down here, but Name has way too much damage. Look at him just destroy the back line of King, and now it's only Elise and Nami left alive. Lonely still has one teammate left alive, but EDG might just be able to end.
And that is so unfortunate for King right there. If they won the fight, they could actually finish the game because the death timers are so huge right now and they were even close to the base of EDG. But that's not gonna happen. That's not what Name has in his mind. He's just gonna annihilate the lineup of King.
Oh, and look at Name. There's one kill. He's looking for number 2, and Name is gonna get caught there, as fishes are wont to do. And with that ace, EDG will come back from a Game 1 loss, taking the next 2 in the series and advancing to the semifinals of the Demacia Cup 2-1 over King.
However, we definitely have to give a little bit of credit to King because they did put up a good fight, winning one game against EDG, against such titans in the LPL, against the legends right there. Now that also is a good thing, however, not really being able to win the best of 3.
I've always wondered who comes out in the 1v1 battle between Name and Nami. And it does look like, as you might expect, Name was able to come out ahead there. And the rest of his team, too. Incredible game, number 3 win. EDG take a 25-10 victory in dominant fashion. Great just team play. Like, that fight was so back and forth. Or the entire game was really back and forth. About as even as you can get it. And that's the Demacia Cup. So, hope you guys enjoy the show. Keep in mind, the Demacia Cup will continue next week as we find, I believe it's Positive Energy versus World Elite. So, the former sister teams will face off. And, of course, then it's the matchup we've all been waiting for. Snake versus RM. RM, the team that took out LGD, and Snake currently first place in LSPL. So, big names coming your way next week. Of course, this is... it actually might not be next week. They might have a little bit of a delayed lane versus a Yasuo, who should take heavy harass, but has the Way of the Wanderer's shield to block out a little bit of that, and the wind wall, which makes Lulu pretty useless, unless you can get through the wind wall by using help picks into Glitterlands.
Alright, but I hope that from Lulu onto Yulu it stays at that and not go to YOLO. because then it would be a little bit bad for EDG. Well, we'll get to see. Once again, the invades are coming, so pretty much every single game that we have seen the invades.
So same strategies that we saw from both teams last game, just ward up the enemy side of the jungle and then go for a later invade. But look at EDG, or rather King's got the presence of mind to put this ward down so early on. And so King's like, oh man, we're going to catch them out in their jungle. We're going to stomp them, and they're just right on top of a ward. So a little bit of an interesting start. And off of this information, you know, King doesn't want to move around too much because they don't want to risk standing on top of a ward. But EDG are not as sneaky as they think they're being.
Oh yeah, definitely they're not. And well, King might be rotating there, but just look at the bottom lane of King right now. They're just standing there on top of the tier 3 turret.
Unkillable, does a ton of damage. At rank 3, 90 extra attack damage on his ultimate. So I don't know who thought up that number. It's just like, let's give this guy 100 AD. That's over 2 BF swords that you get for pressing R. Like, I don't understand how that works, but it's fair and balanced, and Alistar in the top lane for Koro 1. Really excited to see how this stacks up.
Yeah, but we just have to wait for the game to actually load in and start, and then is where the magic is going to happen, because this game is most probably going to be the closest of them all, with such strong team comps for both of the teams.
Exactly, and keep in mind, we've seen stomps both ways. Like, game number 1, King crushed EDG in the lane phase. They kind of shook things up around the dragon when EDG managed to come back, or around the Baron when EDG managed to come back and take that Baron. But here in game number 2, it was the exact opposite situation. EDG didn't necessarily win the lane phase super hard, but they hung on and crushed it late. And now Edward Gaming come out with a very, very strong team comp. But I'm interested to see this Lulu on you. It's like, Yulu. There in the middle still has her repel range, and everything's still good to go. And just really strong team composition from both sides. When you look at the Jarvan jungle, which did very well for Lonely in game number 1, and possibly a Lulu mid lock in for you.
Well, there's no knockup from the jungler though, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer for JS to actually start being effective with the last breaths. But still, it definitely looks quite strong for King, especially with a Tristana, Maokai, Yasuo on the same team. But on the other hand, we also have an Alistar in the top lane that is definitely a strong champion right there.
And man, Alistar versus Maokai. Probably one of the most boring fights you'll ever see, but it should be one that once they get to team fights up a lot. Whether it's Maokai just blocking 20% of everything coming at your face, and even more of that if he gets something like what is that? Locket of the Iron Solari, a big item on Maokai's because it gives you area of effect magic damage, area of effect percentage base damage reduction, and then you've also got the shield that is also in an area of effect. So if you, I don't know what that guy's counting on his hands. We'll have to see how that stacks up. But like I said, Maokai's big, Alistar, game number 3, and there's a Rengar ban, so we can all be a little bit happier. Now, while we're waiting for everybody to get back and ready to go, the Rengar ban comes at the expense of allowing a Maokai through. One of the kings of the top lane has emerged incredibly strong, and Sky showed us exactly how strong he could be in game number 1. His Aurelia is still banned away, but his Maokai is back and here to stay, and he'll be going over what could be a... Oh my goodness, is Koro gonna lock that? Okay, so Koro gets a top lane Alistar, and that could be still a support Alistar for FCZF, so keep that in mind. But in our first series, it was actually Tristana that swayed the games back and forth, and so could look for a lock-in on that champion, but without it being very heavily contested with Lucian locked in for EDG, should see Tristana saved for their last couple picks, locking in a Yasuo 4th mid.
Well, I hoped for this Alistar to go for King too, so it would be a Maokai and an Alistar, a completely OP comp, and now that they will also have a Tristana, that would be even better. But as you said, this Rengar ban is definitely a good one, as Klilov played it in the first game, didn't do too well, Then Lonely played this Rengar in the second game. Once again, didn't do too well, so they just decide to ban it away and go for different junglers this time around.
All right, now just making sure that I have everything where it needs to be. Getting a quick refresh on, and then grabbing the right link. So let me go ahead and we'll sync things up here in just a second. Make sure we're both on the same page. And it looks like we're good. All right, so the last couple picks coming in here for King. It does look like it will be Nami Tristana. I think they wanted the Tristana, but realized that they didn't have to pick it right away. They could give up Lucian. And now they just go for the Trist. So this time around, it's Edward Gaming that get the early game 80 carry versus King's late game comp. So I'm actually really excited for this. King have a devastating team composition. They get Elise, who, and I believe this is still the 3.12 patch, or the 4.12 patch. I'm still not sure if it's on 1.3 yet. I don't think it is. So that does mean that Lucian is still very strong, but it also means that Elise is unnerfed. So she still has her cocoon.